All right, we're live. It's College Talk Tuesday. Welcome to the place on Facebook where we can talk about college things live on Tuesday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Andy Lockwood. And you?
I'm Pearl Lockwood.
Yes, she is.
Still.
So today we thought we'd be very irritating and political. No, I'm just kidding. We thought we would be a little topical today and talk about some lessons that we and college applicants in particular can learn about the presidential election, specifically Trump-style politicking that happened less than a week ago. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So just as a quick disclaimer, this is really not, I was kidding about the political stuff. The politics stuff doesn't really matter. So if you can set aside any type of ranting or anger or proclivity to riot or whatever you might be feeling right now, and if you have a teen about to apply to college, meaning class 2018, maybe even younger, class 2019, I want you to start thinking about the stuff we're going to be talking about today in terms of how it can possibly help you in your efforts to get into college. Fair?
Fair.
If you're just joining us, please say hi in the comments. Please like, comment, and share. Pearl and I will be periodically checking it out. I also want to tell you, I guess we'll do this at the end, I want to tell you about a webinar that we're doing that's really on how to get into your top choice college, how to multiply your odds of getting into your multiply your odds of getting into your dream college. That's coming up this Thursday. So, okay. So let's talk about the thing that Donald Trump is great at. Whether you like it or not, he is great at one thing above all, and it surprised. This is, I think, the reason why it surprised a lot of people.
Were people surprised?
Including people in mourning.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, my mom was telling me today. I don't know if you heard the whole conversation, but out in Portland, where she lives, there were neighborhood
Oregon, not Maine.
There were neighborhood support groups. You know, people were getting together to grieve. And one person said something that I actually thought was pretty, offensive, and I don't get offended that easily. One person said, I haven't felt this bad since like 9/11.
Well, I honestly, when you were just saying it, I was like, oh, I don't want to go here, I don't want to go here. But that's kind of reminds me of what happened when 9/11 happened.
Right, except nobody died. That's what I was saying. Right. Imagine if you lost someone there. Anyway, so let's just put that aside. So what I wanted to talk about is what Donald is really, really good at, and that is getting attention. That is his number one greatest skill. His business acumen, I happen to think he's pretty impressive that way, but that's debatable. His political, skills, whatever, I think those are highly debatable. But I don't think anyone with half a brain can debate his ability to get attention. And what he was able to do was to stand out among a crowd of, I think it was 17.
Who arguably had better scores and grades, essentially in terms of their
credentials,
right,
and like Jeff Bush and some other people, sure. So as Pearl was kind of alluding to, that's the task. That's the number one task of any college applicant, is to stand out in a sea of sameness. Meaning, you could have 5,000 kids who have the same grades and scores as you do, but your job is to say, this is why I'm different, and more specifically, this is why you should take me compared to all these other kids, all these other 5,000 kids. Can you grab the incomparable applicant right there? So just hold it up. So I think that's actually the subtitle of the book. The ultimate real-world, non-politically correct guide to giving yourself an almost unfair advantage over the other 5,000 competitor applicants with the same grades and scores. Available on Amazon, by the way. And that's really what it comes down to. It's the same type of thing. You have to learn that this is about promoting yourself. Now, you may not feel that you're up to doing it the way that Trump did, and frankly, I wouldn't recommend that anyone do the same type of promotional stuff.
Yes, you have to put your own personal voice there.
You absolutely have to do it in a way that you feel comfortable, but in many cases, kids need to step out of their comfort zone and show a different version of themselves. And I think that's another thing that I believe that Trump is really good at is understanding that he's playing a role. So when he's on reality TV and when he's campaigning, I think from what either I'm reading between the lines or from talking to people who kind of know him or know him third hand or something, apparently when he's not in front of a camera, he's not promoting himself, he's more of a normal, regular type of guy. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I think my point here is that he's putting a version of himself forward, and that's the same thing you do on the college applications. You have to understand that it's almost like one of my...
You're packaging yourself.
Well, you're definitely packaging yourself.
Yeah.
One of the jokes I say a lot is, if you read as many college applications as I do, you would think that everybody applying to college is a leader. There are no followers applying to college. It's all...
a funny essay.
Well, maybe. It's all chiefs, no Indians. Not to be even more politically incorrect. But that's really the deal. You have to understand that this is a promotional. It's fundamentally a marketing exercise, getting in and marketing, promotion, and public relations. So, by the way, if you have any questions or you want to debate this or perhaps engage in a verbal riot or something, it's raining today, so I think the protesting might go down a little bit.
Maybe.
I'm actually speaking at Jericho High School tonight. Did you commit to coming with me?
I have not committed yet.
What are you doing? You're like withholding.
I like to keep the mystery alive.
You're like withholding an endorsement. I think Pearl's coming tonight, Jericho High School, 7 o'clock. But if you're not protesting and you're in the New York area, you're welcome to step by. Will you check and see if anyone has any questions, or please say hi. Let us know you're on with us. Hi,
Tony Ann.
Hello, Tony Ann. Good. It's always nice to see her. Trump decided what he stood for. And again, that's also controversial, and a lot of people don't like what he stands for. But he, like a college applicant, thought about exactly what he was trying to, as Pearl said, package. And I think that's very important. Are you the the jock, but who has an intellectual side? Are you the community service kid? Are you the guy or girl who's really into just learning stuff from all different perspectives? Or are you just like the narrow, I just want to get great grades, type of guy, the grade grubber? You have to decide. Either you're going to decide that, or it's going to be decided for you when an admissions officer reads your application. So my advice is do that proactively. Don't wait for someone to do it for you. Take the initiative. And I think certainly Trump took initiative.
Yes.
Okay. Here's another thought about similarities. Trump chose his audience very carefully. So in his case, I believe it was mostly non-educated white families from the Midwest who are not coastal liberal elites. Although I did hear, I don't know if this is true or not, I did hear that he actually polled more Latino votes than Hillary did, which I just think is pretty funny. So choosing an audience doesn't necessarily mean by race, right, or skin color. It might mean not demographically, but it might mean more psychographically. I think college applicants should think about their colleges that way too, because there are key differences in from campus to campus. Now, that being said, getting back to the whole political thing, 90-something% of professors vote one way, and it is not the Trump. It's not the Trump way. So there's not so much diversity among campuses in terms of political thought. Although what I did find interesting, by the way, is that it varies among department. So math department professors tend to be more conservative than like humanities and history and English types of professors, by the way.
I asked Harry, our son, the other day, I said, well, after the election, I said, well, what was the environment like at school? He's in high school. And he said, well, all the teachers, everyone was pretty much really upset, except my investments teacher. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, thought so.
That's funny. All right, so just anyone with any questions yet? I just want to keep rolling through this because I'm having a hard time trying to keep both here.
Hi, Darlene.
Hello, Noreen.
Hi, Pat.
Okay. Hello, guys. Throw your comments out. We are open today. So There's a big difference between Brown University and Stanford. There's a big difference between the University of Chicago and Northwestern. You know, there's a big difference between University of Michigan and I don't know, University of Maryland. You know, so
Wesleyan University of Virginia.
Yeah, I went to Wesleyan.
I know.
Okay, so yeah, big differences. So you know, I think choosing your audience is very important. And frankly, after working with a ton of kids over the summer and still in mid-November about working on the supplemental essays from colleges, many of the colleges want you to demonstrate why that particular college is a good fit for you, which requires some thought and some digging in to finding out exactly what that college is like and what that audience, or that fit is, or that community is like for you. And you really can't wing it. So when you get a question, a supplemental question like, so why are you applying here? You tell us what drew you to apply to Wake Forest or something like that. You can't say something like, I always wanted to go to school in the South, and the basketball team is awesome, and I just like the area, because that is a very generic response that you could say for probably 50 colleges. There's 5 or whatever right along Tobacco Road right there, and there's a whole lot of other schools in the South. Same thing like, I want to go to BU because I want to go to school in Boston. Well, there's 200 colleges there. So you really need to do a deep dive into exactly what the school has to offer for you. And by the way, and if you, I've had this happen probably 2 or 3 times this year. If a kid is unable to say that, they're saying, I'm just having a hard time answering that question. My answer,
right.
What do you think my answer is?
Maybe it's not the right place for you.
Yeah, don't apply.
Right.
Yeah, don't just apply for the hell of it. Don't just don't just
Path of
throw a whole bunch of
resistance.
stuff up against the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
So so that's another lesson there.
Plus the more of a connection you learn or have with a school, that eventually comes out, and if it's communicated appropriately and properly to the school, remember, the school is a business, and they are as interested, or their focus is on as many people that they say yes to say yes back to them, because that affects their yield, which affects their college rankings, etc. and so forth, which the colleges as a business are very concerned with. So the more an applicant can find what actual connection they have to a school and communicate that in the application process, that will certainly help them, their chances of admission.
Yeah, I'll take it even one step further, and you can attest to this because I think you went through this. If you just apply to a school because you think it's one way, but you really haven't done your due diligence, you might be in for a very rude surprise once you get to that school, and you might not be happy there. So you transferred from your initial school from Pearl started off at Skidmore, right. And then she ultimately transferred to Cornell for her sophomore year. What do you think that you should have done before you committed to going to Syracuse to Skidmore that you didn't do? Like what advice would you give someone to avoid your mistakes?
Wow. Okay. Well, I did.
One bit of advice.
One bit of advice.
Why did you choose it? What do you think Skidmore is going to be for you?
Probably like a more of a private school type of thing, which I thought I might like, coming from a public school.
Oh, like
the smallness.
You mean a private high school or something?
Maybe something.
A snooty.
I mean, I didn't even. Maybe. I mean, I don't even know. Honestly, I went pretty thoughtlessly into picking and applying for college. I'm ashamed to say, but that's just the way the culture was when I was applying.
Does it feel good to confess that shame?
No, not
You're not
not
really
good
ashamed.
or bad. I'm not. No, I wish in retrospect that I had. I hope I do anything in my life with a lot of thought and plan.
I don't want you to be ashamed.
Not ashamed.
Okay. Then I want you to speak more precisely.
Okay. I did visit a lot of schools, but I didn't go there with the right lens on, if you will.
What should you have asked? Or what should you have thought about?
I should have been looking around at the other students there and being on it, looking at myself in the mirror and saying, do I really, this is who I am, get honest with that, and do I see myself here? Is this my place?
Because once you got there, what did you find out? And by the way, she had straight A's, so it's not like she couldn't keep up with the work, and she got into an Ivy League school afterward.
Well, by the way, I mean, this is also you gotta have a plan in place. And once I knew I was unhappy there, I needed to throw all my focus into doing the very best I could to then transfer to hopefully someplace better, and I did.
But you didn't pick your community the right way.
I had
so
not
what
picked
was it about that community at the time that did not match up with you?
It was homogeneous. It was homogeneous, not representing me necessarily either. And it was too small.
Is homogeneous marriage now legal?
Yes, homogeneous marriage, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Still.
That wasn't changed last Tuesday?
Yeah. Let's stay away from all these topics, okay?
Whatever.
The school did not have any sports life, Greek life, and at that time, that is what I envisioned that college was all about. And I got there and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought.
See, I find that particularly ironic because Pearl's idea of, like, you know, Greek life right now seems to be falling asleep on the couch at 8:30.
Yes.
I don't know if that's really Greek or it's like a Greek salad, maybe.
Yes.
After a Greek salad.
After a Greek salad.
Yeah. It's funny that you were like a party girl. Yeah. Now she's up at 4 and asleep by 8:30.
Yes.
So okay, so all right, so that's choosing your audience. All right, let me wrap up here with my final Trump/college admissions comment. This whole process takes work. Donald Trump, like him or hate him, the guy worked. But I'm not poo-pooing Hillary, and I'm not saying I'm an unabashed Trump fan. I will admit I voted for him. I'm not hiding that. I was definitely a hold your nose type of voter. My mom's mad at me about that, but. Anyway, just that's where we stand. I stand. I'm not speaking for Pearl.
And I'm not speaking.
Yeah, because
I've learned the hard way.
She's afraid. But anyway, I wanted to say that for a guy who is clearly born with a silver spoon in his mouth, he worked his butt off to do all the fly all over the place, do all these rallies, 4 or 5 in a day. He was not complacent at all. And frankly, I think a lot of millennials and a lot of the younger generation, who is known for their fairly or unfairly, and I think
complacency.
I think it definitely is not completely fair, but they're known for being complacent or entitled, or just having these expectations of this is going to be handed to me. Because it's the participation trophy generation,
exactly.
Type of stuff. So, by the way, comment on that. I like to hear if you think that that's right or if that's not right. Because I get to work. One of the best things about our business is I get to personally mentor a small amount of kids every year, and I do my best to screen out the ones that I think are not going to do well in this process, meaning who are not going to roll their sleeves up and do work. And frankly, I think almost to a T, I think every kid that I worked with this year has been great that way, has not been entitled and all that. But what you have to kind of think about is maybe the economy's going to improve, maybe it's not going to improve. It's great to get into college, but just because you're able to get in or hire someone like us or hire SAT tutors or whatever doesn't guarantee that once you're there at that next thing, similar to now that Trump's elected, there's no guarantee that he's going to be a good president.
We're all hoping. I hope we're all hoping.
I admit I'm nervous, but there's a lot more that comes next, and it's the work. I have no qualms about saying that I don't think he's going to work hard. I do think he's going to work hard, and that takes care of 80%, I think, of the issues. So with kids, they really have to understand that just getting into college is a starting point, and if they want to be successful beyond just getting in and getting a degree, there needs to be a whole lot of work that has to happen, and that includes not just working hard but working smart. And when I say working smart, it's understanding what employers want. I'm going to be talking about, I don't know if you can post this, I'm going to be talking about this with Pearl on Thursday night. If you are interested in listening to attending our interactive, full-blown training on how to multiply your odds of admission and pick a school that's going to help you be successful after college, you can register at cs4l.tv. That's College Success for Less.tv. www.cs4l.tv. And that'll take you right over to the registration page. There's a study, I've seen a couple of studies that track the success of successive generations. So you've got the immigrants, who come over, probably not from Mexico, who come over and they work their butts off to give their kids a better life. And that first generation of kids, really high achievers, they go to super schools, they work their butts off, they earn a lot of money. And then from there, it's downhill. Each successive set of kids, each next generation, by the third generation or so, supposedly they squander away much of what's been earned by the immigrant and that first generation. I think, again, it's incontrovertible that Trump, who was born to affluent families, took a loan from his dad and went off the charts in terms of his achievements. Now, they may not be as great as he claims they are, but he definitely reached a different level than his father did. His kids, to me, seem that they are workers. They are all very articulate. None of them has that embarrassment. When you talk, you're half the stuff coming out of his mouth in some of the debates was embarrassing. I don't think I cringed at all when anything came out of the mouths of his kids. Yeah. And Pearl and I know a lot of families, and we know a handful of very affluent families, and frankly, sometimes the stuff that comes out of their kids' mouths is extremely right. It's painful, cringeworthy,
right. Entitled, spoiled, horrible.
Yeah.
What have you taught your kids?
Right.
Let's jump into reality. I mean, this also comes back. It does, because what we also
I knew you liked this topic, by the way.
What we also see in this year is we have everybody who applies, and then some people retain us for college selection and picking not only just where are you going to get in, where are you going to get in, where are you going to get in. I mean, that's not the end of the road, people. It's 4 years later, hopefully, if you graduate in 4 years, you have a plan that is going to put food on your table for the rest of your life and propel you into that direction. So anyway, you don't want to be let's say, on the balls of your you-know-what when you're in this process. You want to be forward-thinking and planning, and unfortunately what we have seen is those who don't and go into this process with unrealistic understanding about this process often can face what we've termed admissions Armageddon, because they don't live in reality, they don't start in reality. And that's the other thing that this election has brought home. A lot of people were really dumbfounded. They he got elected and she didn't. The shock.
Well, one person called the election a while ago, months ago.
Andy Lockwood. You did, because you tend to live in reality. You stay in reality. That's
one reality lane. Population 1. Sometimes 2.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just go through some comments here. I don't know if you got them. Noreen asked to repeat the URLs. I think you did that, then I did it also. Oh, your sister Sandy shared our link. That was great.
Thank you,
you said hi to Tony Ann. Pat Barry is here. Okay, so hi everybody. Yeah, I think we've said a lot here. I don't know if it's going to really go over the right way, because I don't know if it's the reality distortion thing. That was what they used to say about Steve Jobs. Some reality distortion is great. I mean, we're self-employed. Sometimes we have to be very, sort of ignoring a lot of bad news, whatever. But you always need to be realistic. You always need to understand what the obstacles are. And frankly, as you go through your junior year or sophomore year of high school, it's very easy to get an unrealistic, I guess, assessment or belief about how you stack up compared to others, because you could be...
When 3/4 of the class are admitted into the Honor Society, or every participant in a sporting event is given a trophy, like that.
Well, yes.
That's not helping stay in reality, is it?
No. Don't get angry.
I'm not. Okay. I just...
So what I was going
which I have a right to do.
Okay. So what I was going to say is more along the lines of that you may get a ton of accolades, and you might be... a very accomplished student and all that, but if you're gunning for, the top schools, you're a dime a dozen. That's really my point. So it's,
and that's reality.
Yeah, it's reality, and that doesn't mean that you should take anything away from yourself, or we're trying to somehow take anything away from you, but we want you to be grounded in reality. And it makes sense. I would never tell kids not to apply to those types of colleges, but I would say, let's have a plan B. You may think it's beneath you, but it's still a school that you should consider seriously, because you may not get into the schools that Naviance, the college selection software, indicate that you should get in. And the main reason for that is because Naviance looks at really only 2 out of 20 or 25 factors. One of those is your grades. Grades, I should say, are your grades and your scores. And the other factor is everyone else from your high school who was admitted to that particular college that you're interested in over the last 3 years or something like that.
And that's it.
And the flaws are,
it's huge.
It's huge. It's not just huge. The flaws are big that league. you are big league.
Big league. I know.
It's big league.
It is big league. There was an article written about it. It's big league that he keeps saying, even though big league is a word.
It's not a word.
Yes, it is a word.
Whatever.
It's a word, and it's just antiquated.
Okay.
But he has been saying big.
He's a sports
league.
guy. He played baseball in college.
But
he was like a football team owner.
There was debate.
Dumb debate. I did not participate. I refused to accept the results of that debate.
So you knew it was big league?
It just, yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, the point is that you're competing with kids all over the world, not just kids from your high school. And the admissions decision is predicated on so much more than just your grades and your scores. It's your extracurricular activities like volunteering, like out-of-school stuff, like maybe working, and a whole bunch of other stuff that, frankly, is an opportunity, if you have a junior or a sophomore or even younger, for you to kind of create this body of work that will ultimately be judged by admissions officers in 2018 and 2019 and so forth. So you can, if you're your own PR agent, and you can come up with things that are going to appeal to the audience that you select, and you don't just wing it, you don't just, like Pearl was saying, you don't just do the same thing that everyone else does. You have a much better chance of getting in. It's a world of hurt. You have a much better chance of getting into the college of your dreams, and you have a much better chance of not failing. The way that Pearl said, not having this bitter, crushing disappointment. So, on that note, is there anything else you want to add there, Pearl Lockwood?
No. I think this has been a very sobering and enlightening discussion.
Oh, absolutely.
That I'm sure will continue. And for those of you just joining us or hoping to ask a question, please comment now or at some future point on our page, and we will either address your question, your comment during our Tuesday show on College Talk Tuesdays at noon, or on Fridays every week at 2 o'clock. We have our Fabulous Friday, Frequently Asked Questions Friday.
Well, we did do one last week. I'm not sure. Yeah, we were kind of like burnt out. So, if you like this page, you'll get notices of when we're going on. We also try to send out a notice to our email list in terms of stuff coming up this week. So we've got the Big Admissions webinar, which is on Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. That's at cs4l.tv. C stands for college, success for less, cs4l.tv. And if you're local, we are speaking tonight at 7 o'clock at Jericho High School. And also if you're local on Wednesday night, I don't think I can drag Pearl out to Smithtown out in eastern Long Island, but I'm speaking out there at 7 p.m. Also, just, if you're interested in any of that information, just post a comment right here on this page. Thanks a lot for watching. We appreciate your comments, and if we didn't get to your comments live, we will absolutely peruse them and get back to you within the next day. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.